Life has been good. We're starting to really start to kick things up a notch here. Finalize the equipment layout pretty much, and so I need to submit that to the building in like the next hour or so.
Mm,
I mean, I don't have to, but like I'm going to submit as fast as possible so we can get approval on it, so we can order the equipment
hmm
ASAP. I am in the process right now of trying to look up TV screens for digital signage.
Okay.
So instead of it being like like a normal TV screen, essentially it's like digital signage display, and it's supposed theoretically lasts longer, and it's not like your typical TV.
Mm,
But it's tricky. It doesn't. It's kind of hard to figure out what's right. Also in the middle of some car dilemma because essentially the car that we were gonna buy and the one that we were about to release a video for, we got a call saying that like the car is no longer available because apparently there's some issues with the car and they can no longer sell it. They're gonna wholesale it at an auction instead because essentially to fix whatever issues there are would be
mm,
too much for them to sell it.
yeah.
So then there's just like, yeah, we can't sell it to you anymore. Although I put a down payment down and I was like, or a deposit down and I was like, I'm going to go buy the car. They were like, just kidding. We can't do that anymore. And so it kind of pissed me off.
Mm,
We like made a video about it, and everything. Like we're basically ready to go. Um, I still have my doubts about it, which is good because like it's a Subaru Outback, which is a nice car.
hmm
For our budget, I think it's sort of right where we need to be. But
mm,
I just had some qualms about it because like supposedly there's like a better engine for it, and so we found one with a better engine. So like tomorrow, essentially, what I'm gonna have to do is just try to go and see if there's a better car, a
mm,
version of the car that we can use. It's just stupid because to be fair, it's only been 3 days, but like it's been a pretty intense 3 days trying to find a car and just get one.
hmm
And the thing with a used car is like you can't really trust it very well. So what I've been doing is we've only took one to be fair, but we took one that we were like, hey, we might just buy this.
mm,
We take it to a mechanic for a pre-purchase inspection. It's like $175, but essentially a third-party mechanic will look at the car and tell you
hmm
what they think of it.
Yeah.
And so there was a car that we looked at today and we took it to a mechanic and he was like, it's not worth that amount of money. So your sales price is too high for what you're going to get. So they were like, don't, they wouldn't recommend us buying it. So we
mm,
didn't.
mm,
There's another car that we're going to look at tomorrow morning, hopefully that we'll be able to do the same thing for and then
mm,
just see what we think. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. It's very tricky buying a car. It's like at the surface level, you're just like, oh, it's super easy. Just buy a used car. Like it'll be no problem. And then you do a little more research and you see what's sort of out there. You know what your budget is, and then
hmm
it gets real tricky real fast because like there's some cars that like for the most part, the ones that we're looking at is at least 10 years old. And so it's like
mm,
a car that's 10 years old, like there's a lot of issues that could go wrong with it. So do have to be a little bit careful. But we'll have to see. Like we've been talking to some of the mechanics, and so hopefully we'll be able to see if there's like a car that is good. We have one that's sort of like our last hope for right now. Otherwise, we basically have to start from scratch again,
mm,
which is annoying. And
mm,
so we're in the process of doing that. I'm also in the process of like finalizing the equipment with the equipment guy, and
mm,
so that alone also is like he's not as responsive because he's really busy.
mm,
Uh, once we get that finalized, I need to submit that to the building, and then once they approve it, we can order it. But like things need to happen fast because it's like last week of September.
yeah.
And then we also need to get approval on the signage and like the digital sign. What? Sorry. What? I have like five screens open. Like my goodness. And then essentially we have a signage where like we have to submit like what kind of signage we're gonna have to the
hmm
building as well before we actually do it.
hmm
And so it's just like a whole thing of like we need to basically submit everything and then just get approval on it. So
mm,
we'll
mm,
hopefully be able to do that in the next couple days. And then just like once we order the equipment, then it's going to be about like, okay, when we get it, it's like how do we, bring it in and how do we deliver things and stuff like that. So it's moving. It's good. I mean, it's a Monday, so we're very busy because everybody's open. Like usually on the weekend, nobody's open, and so a lot of our like product testing is usually reserved for those days. But like right
mm,
now, because everything's open and like we're just trying to get things moving, it's like I think that's what the process is looking like.
hmm
There's a lot of things we don't know, and there's a lot of things we need to figure out. But like it's just a matter of like let's get the equipment first and see what we need, and then
mm.
work ourselves, work backwards from there. So.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot. A lot of things happening at once. How's the process been with the guy with the designing of the space? I know he came to check physically. You guys kind of talked about different ideas of what equipment and stuff. How's that process been overall? Was it harder than you thought? Was it pretty straightforward? Anything
No,
like
I
that?
mean it was pretty straightforward. I think we had a pretty clear plan of what we wanted going in, and all the equipment that he sent over seems pretty reasonable. Like there's
Hmm.
nothing crazy. There are a couple custom made pieces, which is good that we engaged him. If I had to do this alone, it would have been miserable,
Hmm.
and I would have been really just in over my head. And so it's good that we have somebody like him that like knows equipment and can actually do stuff.
Hmm.
But I mean, the flow of operations is relatively straightforward. I think we actually ended up changing a couple things, which is fine, because essentially we're going to move a couple things to like the other side and things like that, which is all fine. I don't anticipate that to be any kind of issue. And then realistically, what's nice is like he basically lays it all out in like a document, and so then it's
Hmm.
great because then what we can do is we can literally submit the same document to the building, and so they know what's going on.
Hmm.
Um, but
Wow.
yeah, that's pretty much it. And so I'm like looking at it now, it's like it's pretty extensive and like they sort of know what they're doing with it. And so, I think we'll just have to see and see what the building says, but like it's a pretty comprehensive plan and like it should be pretty straightforward in terms of what we're gonna get. So
Hmm.
um yeah, we'll just have to see what happens from here.
How did the cost come out? Was it more than you thought? Is it pretty reasonable?
I mean, it's more than we thought. But like not by much. I think we had anticipated it to be around $20,000. It's going to be right around $20,000 plus or minus a little bit because of the fees and things like that. But it'll
Hmm.
be equipment wise is actually not that big of an investment. Like it is a big investment, but like it's probably the biggest investment we're going to make besides like if you count the Kimbap roll machines, it's probably up in the 30,000. Probably like 35,000, but like the Kimbap rolling machine and the cutting machine we had to invest in anyway. And so
Yeah.
that's not like a lost cost to us.
Hmm.
And then obviously with a car, the car is also a different story. So like, all in all, and like branding is also all in all, we're probably going to spend about 60 to 70 grand to get in, which in the grand scheme of things is actually not that bad. I mean, you imagine like a
Hmm.
brick and mortar is probably like 10 times that cost.
Hmm.
So for a tenth of the price, we basically can get a restaurant up and running.
Hmm.
And then hopefully, depending on how well we do, and like, we'll have to see how sales looks, but
Hmm.
hopefully we'll be able to sustain something and then, just slowly chip away at that initial investment.
Hmm. Is this also just purely backed by some of your, personal savings, or did some of the pop-ups help with, generating a bit of those costs, or no?
No, it's all generated by Jimmy and I because essentially like the pop-ups we either break even or we're close. The
Mm-hmm.
only issue is like there's a lot of miscellaneous fees that basically go into R&D. There's like initial investment that we had to make into like the equipment of like the hotel pans and like all the just the restaurant equipment.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably pretty close to breaking even over the summer, although because of the cutting machine that was like
Hmm.
$3,500, like if we didn't have that, then it probably would have been easier, but
Hmm.
we're pretty close. I think we so far we haven't really invested in any real dollars. I think the
Hmm.
branding piece is like our first piece of real investment. Obviously, this is our big investment. Jimmy's
Hmm.
right now in Korea. I think he just secured a kimbap cutting the rice rolling machine for us, so that's a big
Hmm.
investment. And then obviously the car is also a big investment. So we will have to spend some cash pretty soon, but I think we're pretty aware of this. It's just that time flies, and now it's actually time to put your money where your mouth is. And then once all this stuff is done, then it really becomes about like, okay, how can we start testing things, and how can we start really making things and figuring out the flow of things over here.
Right. Yeah. No, it seems like the process really requires a lot of different touch points with, I guess overall like the designer, probably your team, but also just miscellaneous other counters kind of you talked about trying to
Yeah.
get a car with the mechanic as well. A lot
Yeah.
of just, things to keep track of. How's the delegation kind of change over the, days with the new member joining as well? Tay, I think.
Yeah, Tay's great. I mean, Tay basically helps us with pretty much everything with product. We've
Okay,
we
problem.
handed over a lot of responsibility with the product to Tay just because I'm essentially working on a lot of the operations aspects and like sort of the touch point
Hmm.
between sort of all of our vendors.
Hmm.
Jimmy is still doing a lot of the back end things, so like figuring out legal, figuring out our licensing, figuring out like how do we do insurance and things like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So it's a very natural, I think, sort of split of work. Essentially, Tay and I work together on some of the product and food, and then Jimmy obviously plays a part in like tasting and things like that. But so far, I think that's sort of been how the delegation has gone. And then in terms of the food, I think we'll have to come back. And like once we get the location, we'll have to start prepping again and start tasting it again and see if anything has changed in sort of the flow flavor profiles that we have. But
Mhm.
otherwise, I mean, I think we feel pretty good about sort of where we're at.
Mhm. It's, I think this is the second week, or is it the third week since you kind of quit all your other part-time jobs? How has that week schedule kind of changed over the days?
Yeah, I mean, I will say it was definitely a good decision. I think it just from a mental peace of mind standpoint, essentially, I'm pretty much free all the time to respond and take meetings whenever I want.
Hmm.
Obviously, I don't have any income, so like it's that is a little bit tricky, but like I think it's in the grand scheme of things, it's not that problematic. But yeah, I mean, I will say it basically just brings light to the fact that like I have days where I'm like super busy, like to the point where I'm just flying all over the place, and I'm like I don't know if I can do that. And then other days I'm like don't have much to do. Like once you set things in motion, it's sort of like you just have to wait and see on a certain
Hmm.
set of topics. Like you can always push forward on some other things, but I think just by the nature of what we're doing, like if you like there's some certain things that we'll just have to figure out as we go. And
Hmm.
so, you can't plan for this to be perfect. I think you just try, you set a baseline and then you actually start doing it and then you figure it out. I think what's probably up for us next pretty imminently is that we're going to start to hire people. And so by early October, we're probably going to hire at least 4 or 5 more people
Hmm.
be a part of the team. And
Hmm.
then, we'll have to set schedules and we'll have to sort of do all that. I will probably act as like the general manager for at least the beginning. And
Hmm.
then Tay and I will work pretty closely together. I have a feeling Tay and I will work actually in the store together. And then Jimmy will probably be doing like his job and like doing the back end things.
Hmm.
So the equity split will still stay between Jimmy and I. So like whatever investment we have to make into the business will be at sort of the split with Jimmy and I. But Tay and I will probably be treated as just like employees.
Hmm. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, planning to have, 4 or 5 more people, is pretty, yeah, I mean, that's a huge move forward as well.
Yeah.
Any thought process on how that number came to be?
Yeah, so when we think about the flow of things and sort of how it's going to run, I think essentially it's not going to be 4 or 5 full-time employees. It's going to be 1 or 2 additional full-time employees plus 1 or 2 people for lunch service, essentially.
Right.
We essentially just need to get through the lunch rush. After that is like we really don't need that many people. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Hmm.
I think our plan is like get 1 or 2 people on board that are going to stay for the full time,
Hmm.
or like from morning until afternoon so that they
Hmm.
work a full 8 hours. We essentially need to guarantee a living for these people. So like if they work a full 30 hours, at least 30 hours a week, that's like pretty much the best.
Hmm.
Part-time, like we could hire probably students or something that like during the lunch rush. So like from 10:30 to 3, you can just come in and work the lunch rush and then go home.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, since this is your kind of, first time being in more of the food industry, also being, I guess, the more on the general manager side of operating a service like this, how do you come to the calculations for, let's say, a new hire and additional spending on these, talents or
Yeah, I mean, I will
part-time
say, I
roles?
mean, there's sort of like an industry standard.
Hmm.
And like if you just go on Indeed.com, which is where we'll be, like you can basically see all the comparisons.
Hmm.
I mean, it's going to be very close to a minimum wage job. I mean, this is
Yeah.
not by any means like like the corporate jobs
Yeah.
you get paid for what you need to
Hmm.
get paid. Like here, I mean, it's basically going to be like we will offer minimum wage. I mean, we'll essentially like there's some way where like you can also include tipping.
Hmm.
For us, I don't know how our tipping structure will play into it because I'm not exactly sure how much we will have tips in general.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait and see.
Hmm.
If the tips are enough to cover a certain amount, then that's perfect. We'll just use that. But if not, then we'll have to just guarantee a minimum and then just work off that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean the reason why I ask is, I've seen people who, so-called like bootstrap, so they really just try to push through with having the most minimal number of people on board
Mhm.
in the beginning. Yeah, I was just kind of yeah, interested to hear like what made you decide on that earlier expansion of the team to have, the full-time and also part-time people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just the part of the nature of the restaurant business is like it's impossible to do it with.
Mm,
Yes, you can do it with a small, very lean team. That is very possible. But especially for someone inexperienced as I am, it's
mm,
always good to just have other eyes that are like, hey, and once you actually do it, I'm sure there will be better ideas on board. And so essentially the first team is like the team that will help us get off the ground. And so I'm
mm,
that we will attract good talent through that. We're also going to post it on Instagram. And so the idea is like we get sort of the talented people that are willing to
Mm,
stick with us and sort of stay true to the story of what we are trying to do. And then it's going to be a learning experience. So like we'll have to figure out like who is good at doing what and like how do you make sure nobody gets hurt and like where do you store knives and where do you do this, where do you do that and things like that. And so all of that will come, I think, over the next few weeks. So it's going to be a very busy next few weeks.
yeah, no, no. I think that's the probably the most difficult part of, running a business. I think people you can't control and they're full of surprises. But yeah, no, since we're on the topic of, good talent and now you're on that step, moving towards that stage as well. Um, is there like an ideal person you're looking for? I'm just interested to see how this changed over time as well. What
Yeah, I
would
mean,
be like an ideal person on your team right now?
yeah, I think it'd be great if they had like restaurant experience so they know how sort of
Mm.
tough and intense it is. I mean, I certainly hope no one comes and join us on the team with no experience at all and then gets blown away by how difficult of a job this can be. I think besides that though, like there's really nothing. It's just all about like attitude, right? Like, do you have
Mm,
sort of the right attitude? Are you bought into the story of what we're trying to do? Like, do you have a good attitude coming into work? Like, are you able to work with other people? Can you communicate well? Can you take feedback well? I think it's like the very soft skills element of it. Because like
mm,
honestly, all the skills, like there's not really that much skills that we need. Like we
mm,
essentially just like we cook protein, we roll stuff, and we cut it.
mm.
We've hopefully and we will continue to streamline the process where it's very easy for everyone to just like be on board with it.
Mhm,
So in my mind, I don't anticipate like
mhm,
anything that's like really stringent. I think you just have to be bought into sort of what we're doing and sort of willing to fight for the mission of what we're trying to get done.
mm, mm. And I think since we're talking about being bought to the story, how have you been instilling that idea within your current team with uh, Tay, but also now the new designer, also the
Yeah.
marketing lead. What's the story that you're really pushing, and what's the ideal team dynamic that you're trying to build here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea is just like we essentially want to keep this Korean, right? Keep that Korean identity, right? So keep the mission Korean. You don't have to be Korean to enjoy it, obviously. We want the story to resonate with the Korean people that are here. We want the story to resonate just with, just that. So when somebody looks at it, they understand that like we're Korean, we don't want to deviate. We don't want to be confusion. Like we remain very rooted to that.
Hmm.
And then it's just like, I've worked a corporate job before, right? Like I know how it is in this sort of environment and I've taken a little bit of a risk. And so hopefully at the beginning people will sort of, be attuned to the fact that like, hey, we're trying this something new and like hopefully the food is good and will match, hopefully the hype that comes with it. And if not, then we'll just have to adjust. But I think it's just a matter of like how do we play a part in telling that story and sort of remain true to the roots of us keeping up with that Korean theme and really trying to push that Korean food to people that may not have tried it before.
Yeah, well said.
Uh,
Yeah, pardon?
we're trying.
No, you guys are no making great progress, and I think social media has been a huge part in being up to date with the story as well. Um, yeah, I'm just curious. It seems like you guys are working on some new recipes or still developing new recipes as well. Is it possible to kind of give us a sneak peek into what's been new? What are some ideas that are floating around?
Yeah, so essentially there's a few classic ones we're not going to take off the menu. So like beef bulgogi, the spicy pork, and then the tuna are like just favorites that we're not going to touch.
Hmm.
The spam also we will not touch.
Hmm.
To us, I think those four represent sort of like the base roots of like the Korean, kimbap experience, and so we don't
Yeah.
want to take away from that.
Hmm.
The other ones that we were thinking about was we want a premium option of which right now the premium option is going to be a little bit delayed. Like we're not going to do that at the beginning because I think we
Hmm.
just need some time to get our feet off the ground.
Hmm.
But we wanted to do a value option because again, the pricing thing is very sensitive for not only just Koreans but all Asians. And like kimbap is not meant to be super premium. That's not like the branding of what people are used to. So we are going to do a cheese kimbap, and it's going to be the value option that we do. Essentially, it's just going to be I mean, it's a vegetarian roll technically, right? But the main flavor profile there is going to be cheese. And right now we've tested a few, and it's very simple, but it's actually really good. Like the flavor comes through. The carrots are still there, the eggs are still there. It tastes good. It's simple, I think, and we can give it for a price that I think people will be happy with.
Mhm.
The other one is a vegetarian option, which I guess the cheese one too is technically, but we wanted to do a more sort of a robust protein for a vegetarian option, and so we're going to do a tofu one, which is kind of like the tubujorim. So it's just like
Ah,
a
yeah.
spicy. It's not spicy at all, but like it looks spicy. It's just like a spicy like braised tofu,
Mm-mm.
and we're going to pan fry that. It's in, and so far we've really liked that one too. And I think the name of the game for us is just like keep it simple and keep it tasty, and hopefully people will like it.
Mm. Wow. Well, I'm excited to see how that rolls out.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But yeah. How about the sides? Is that kind of in the later stage for you guys?
Yeah, I think right now sides aren't really in the picture for us. We do have a side dish, the pickled radish. We will keep we have
Mm-mm.
fruit sauces that are going to be available for sale, and then we also have a dessert item that is
Mm.
going to be brought to us by hopefully a local bakery here that does Korean baking, and they're new as well. It's called Daejudo Company, and it's run by a guy named Albert. He's super super, I mean, super friendly, super. I mean, their pastries are really good. And so we're super excited to, because, and we also, I think functionally it's going to be impossible for us to do like a baked dessert on our own.
Mm.
And so we're excited to be able to partner with somebody that will bring us sort of the dessert that we need. We are still finalizing talks with them. It's going to be a little bit, probably for at least it's going to be a couple weeks, but that is also coming. And then the last thing is our sort of like the odenku
Mm.
base. So instead of doing like miso soup, we're going to do odenku. And then we're just going to have that as like a stock base. And then we'll give that out as complimentary, especially during the winter. And especially when we just get up and started, like we'll probably just be handing that out for free.
Yeah. No, I feel once people get into the fish cake soup, it's gonna be a whole night just for that. So
Yeah.
especially the colder months, a little soup that's
Yeah.
not too heavy. So I think that's gonna be something that people enjoy. Yeah, I've been recently been kind of keeping up with a lot of different interviews, kind of these writings online about how a lot of people are starting to get really used to the cave culture, the cave food scene, and yeah, it's different from the previous years where a lot more people are starting to kind of embrace the unexpectedness and I guess the surprises that come with the Korean food. I think back then, when you see these raw, like we call it like live octopus, people grossed out, but now it's like an experience that people are trying to, at least try it out and enjoy. So I think fish cake soup, once people get onto that, yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool to see as well.
Yeah. We're very excited, and it'll be like a very, it's very robust. It's like an anchovy broth. I mean, it's delicious. So we're very excited for that, and we're actually going to test that this week as well to see how we can do it in mass bulk. But
Hmm.
that's the
Hmm.
plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to also kind of talk about the experience moving into Sterling Food Hall. I was very fortunate to kind of see a day of your life where you were interacting with the neighboring stalls as well and the neighboring food kind of business owners as well. Like, how's that experience been? Any interesting episodes or things you've seen?
Yeah, I mean they're wonderful. I mean, I think they really have a community over there. I think they emphasize on sort of supporting one another and helping one another and getting close to one another, especially because it's like they're there Monday through Friday, like every day, right? It's like
Mm,
it's no customers are there. They're the ones interacting with each other, and so far we've had nothing but great experiences. It's a business. I think one of the things that you and I are realizing is like the business world is a ruthless one, right? Like on the surface, it's all bubbles and games, but like now, we go out and get what we want and need to do what we need to do. And I
mm,
think everybody there though is really nice and they sort of understand that. So like, like we don't business perspective business is business, but like everyone is incredibly friendly and they really have a good community.
mm, mm. Yeah, no, I think it's great to see when people are. Of course, the outlying thing is that it is a competition. You are trying to attract the limited amount of people who are walking in that door in the stall. But I guess with fairness and the uniqueness that each one provides. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's not like a direct competition, so it's not like any of us. against each other. You fight for the space and you sort of, it
Hmm.
is what it is, but it's not like just if somebody wants pizza, then no one's going to come look for me anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's just always nice to just see that. There when people see another kind of, I guess in this case, business owners who are walking the same route, trying something new, and the support that they're trying to kind of give each other. I think that's something very special being in the journey that you are in. So,
yeah, we agree.
wow.
A lot of fun.
Oh, that's a lot going on. I mean, it seems like uh, at this time around, locking in the equipment. So I guess the new purchase with the car is probably gonna help out a lot with just
Yeah.
moving things,
Yeah.
being much more flexible. And I guess hopefully Jimmy's trip from Korea also kind of makes it safe back with the things that he
Yeah.
needs. So
Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, we fingers crossed, everything works out and we got a lot of work to do now. So it's exciting, but it's at the same time, it's like you got to get moving.
hmm. Hmm. Any interesting designs that have come your way with the new designer on board?
Yeah, we had a few concepts, like a design concept that we looked through, and we actually
Hmm.
she came up with three, and out of the three, we and I guess this is pretty typical, but you sort of take elements that you like, and then you sort of Frankenstein them into one, and
Yeah.
so that's what we've been doing, and we're super excited to see what happens next. The next session for us is this Friday, and that's sort of like our first look at like, hey, this is what it could probably look like, and then we sort of refine the color base, we refine sort of this small tuning. And then we'll go into like menu design and we'll go into like photographs and things like that.
Wow. Is the name still going to be 82 Kimball?
The name will stay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I guess just the logo design, the color
Hmm.
palette,
Hmm.
also just I guess what you mentioned, the menus and products and how did they also help with like the Instagram feed or no?
No, we do. I mean, because she is pretty prominent on Instagram, we're like, if you want to post stuff, like, please feel free. And so I think she will post a reel or two later down the road.
Hmm.
But for us right now, we're including as part of like a series on what it takes to open. So
Hmm.
that's pretty much it.
So yeah, I guess she's not like directly helping out with any like
No,
marketing strategies, just
no.
creating the designs for you.
Yeah, and that alone should, I mean, I'm sure she's very busy just doing that. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Cool. Cool. No, it's nice to just see. I think it seems like she's also another fellow Korean American in Chicago.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're also working, hopefully it works out in the future with desserts and baked goods as well. So
Yeah.
it seems like I think it's always nice to just see that it's not just one person's business that's kind of doing well, but I think it's when the community all kind of comes together and everyone's prospering together. So
Yeah. That's
oh
right.
yeah. Yeah, what a dream that you're living in. I think that's such a meaningful thing to be and be part of
Thank
and
you. Yeah.
initiate. So,
Well, yeah, we'll keep going. We'll, and it is a dream, I think, but I think, there's still a lot to make that a reality. So still a lot of work to be done.
yeah, it will come true. So,
Yeah.
cool. Awesome. It seems like a full packed and a lot of broad progress in the past few weeks. Much more ahead, but excited to see what new things happen, especially with a lot more people involved now.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're excited. Well, it's going to be all hands on deck very soon. So very excited for that.
Very cool. All
All right.
right. Stay healthy, Michael, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
Sounds good, man. See ya.